Hey, bro, just jamming some chili right now. Kyle, how we doing, brother? Hanging out, man. I'm eating some chili. That's what we're doing right now. What are you up to? I don't know. I really love spicy food. So I found this spicy chili that's just like to die for. How are you though? Heck yeah, man. Tyler, Texas is not a bad place. You already have a load for tomorrow? Are you delivering tomorrow? I always found Dallas is kind of a tricky spot. It's like not a bad area, but it's like not a good area. Especially when we would operate the 48-foot flatbed. Sometimes I get lucky, sometimes not so lucky. Sometimes the only good loads I ever find would go to Midland. It's like I don't really want to go to Midland, but I mean, we will if we have to. Heck yeah, man. Usually you can get a pretty good rate going just a short one from Dallas to Houston. It was like 200 miles. Get like 650 on it. But yeah, Dallas, I don't mind going to Dallas, and I've gone to Dallas a lot with the 48-foot flatbed. And if you're doing Hotshot and you have the ramp kit and stuff, you have a little bit more accessibility. Obviously not as much weight, but you can usually find some equipment. But when I did doing the 48-foot flatbed, we would haul shingles down there. We'd haul wire reels down there to Dallas, and I didn't mind it. But usually getting out of Dallas, there's just so many trucks that are there already. It's hard to get out sometimes for good. When you go to California a lot, Kyle, is that where you're from? David, how you doing, brother? Oh, you're in a reefer. Good old reefer, man. How you like the reefer, dude? We did a reefer for a while. I didn't mind it. You get paid pretty good for a reefer. But we did dry van for a little bit. We did a dry van, but I was helping a friend who was in dry van. I moved him over all to step deck and just to a flatbed. And I hate it, dude. We would get our trailer declined or turned away for the stupidest stuff ever. We tried to do a couple paper loads, and they're just the craziest on paper. It is insane. But we got our trailer turned away, and the reefer, I didn't mind reefer though. The problem with reefer was the stupid like appointment times that you had to make a lot of times. If you didn't make your appointment times, like you're flipped. Like you're sitting there with like hours. You're sitting there hours with a load, maybe losing a day or two. And the broker's like, "Well, you didn't make your time. You're screwed, man." But a lot of times those appointment times are just like insane. But good to see you, David. Hope you're doing good, brother. But yeah, I think if you're doing any sort of enclosed, reefer would be the way to go. We made some good money though. Are there a lot of reefer loads coming out of California going to the Midwest? Like, I mean, you might have like some good seafood loads, I guess. Yeah, that's just reefer at work. Like the rates for a dry van are just trash, and then the amount of time that you're gonna sit at these stupid docks waiting to get unloaded or loaded, and then you're always battling for what's it called? For detention time. And there's so many times my driver waited 12 hours to get loaded. 10 hours. You're battling for detention time. And the broker sent you in there knowing you're gonna wait for 12 hours, right? So they already have the system all set up. Dang, so those trailers are really only good for 7 years? That's wild. But that's to operate in California, right? I mean, obviously, you can still move loads outside of California and into California. But if you're trying to pick up a reefer load in California, you need the ARB number. That's another thing with dry van too, guys. Dry vans, food grade. A lot of brokers are only going to let you have a trailer that's 10 years old or newer. That's like if it's older than 10 years, they're not going to use you. So you buy a dry van, after 10 years, it's basically worthless. Like, I mean, there are non-food grade loads so you can move, but you're not getting paid good for those. I think dry van in totality is just trash. If I was gonna have multiple trailers, I would have a reefer trailer for winter, and I would run a 53-foot step deck. And then if we needed to change the reefer for the winter. But for me, nothing beats a 53-foot step deck with a ramp kit, from what I've seen. That's what I love about let's see here. Yeah, I do pretty good, and yes, and only really getting back in California. I'm California right now with it being slow. I get passed on some here and there, but when it's peak season, I'm good. I see. So it's really them just being picky and choosy. If they have, if they have more trucks available, they're going to go with somebody who has it. But if they need to get those loads moved, they'll go with somebody who doesn't. Yeah, we did reefer. I rented a reefer basically. We did for a little bit, and I was surprised on the rates sometimes, but just all together and all of the dumb, stupid. What do they call it? The people that unload you. What do they call those people? All right, 1 second, guys. The lumpers. Oh my gosh, thank you, David. I forgot about the lumpers because I've wanted to forget about the stupid lumpers. The lumpers are the dumbest thing in the world because broker knows you're going to pay these lumpers, and the lumpers are always super stupid to pay, and they're always crazy expensive. And then you have to like send the receipts to the brokers to then get reimbursed for these lumpers, and it's just like it's all nonsense, man. It's like just give me a step deck, give me a step deck. I remember the lumpers. I forgot about that, especially when you're on like a 5-drop load. Like we did some food, 5-drop load, and it's like 5 separate lumpers, 5 different lumper receipts, 5 different BOLs. That was good times. The drop offs are like 1 in the morning, 3 in the morning, 5 in the morning. Good times. Yeah. I was like, luckily my driver had more he had done reefer before, so he understood it better. But the only reason we moved to reefer is because flatbed was pretty bad. This is like 2 years ago. I think it was 22. And so we're like, let's just try this reefer out. And I mean, we make good money, but everything just so stupid, man. And you got the reefer insurance, reefer breakdown coverage. It's just a lot more. Yeah. These reefer companies the lumber companies make bank, dude. With some of the money they're making, I'll sit at a Whole Foods all day with a forklift. And God forbid. And God forbid that one of your pallets fell over and they got to restack it and charge you another $100. But yeah, it's wild stuff, man. The old lumpers. Kyle, have you ever done step deck or flatbed? California though might be better, honestly, for a reefer. No, Danny got out of trucking. I know he made another YouTube channel, and I think he was either what was it? He was either representing a brokerage or he was representing a brokerage or selling trucking insurance. I forget what it was. Something of the sorts. Or a factoring company. It might have been a factoring company. So he's still kind of working in the industry, I guess. But he doesn't have any trucks or anything anymore. It's funny because like I started in 2020 and I had podcasts with basically all those guys. Danny, Load Miser, everybody else. And they were all in business when I was in business. Now none of them are in business. But Load Miser, he was doing good hauling cars. He just wanted to get out of trucking. Got himself in a position when he could. He's like, yeah, I did equipment most of my 12 years of driving. Oh, dude, yeah. Heck yeah. So you're doing heavy haul equipment. That's good money. Well, I mean, now, reefer's probably a little calmer for you. So you're pulling like removable RGNs and stuff. The chili was spicy, guys. I love it a little spicy. Let me share this now. I'll share this on Facebook, see if we can get some people in here with us. I got some questions. Hold up, guys. That is not the right link to share. Yeah, all those guys, man. Let me put this here. So I've met, well, I've talked to those guys on the phone and stuff, and more than that, but South Georgia Hotshot. I'll close that equipment trailers. South Georgia Hotshot. I actually bought his trailer from him. I bought one of his non-CDL trailers before we went to semi truck. He drove down to Utah and sold it to me when I lived in Utah. Load Miser, he was hauling cars and he had a car that was down by where I live, so he came down and we hung out for the day. He's a really cool guy. Hauling Cash, we talked a couple times. Toe Piglet talked a couple times. I mean, always like there's trucking is just it's a beast, right? And like the problem with hotshot trucking is like you're taking such a small piece of the pie, man, that it's hard to build a sustainable business around the hotshot trucking model. That's why you don't see a lot of big, hotshot trucking companies. I mean, you see like Hotshot 107, but the problem is you're like everyone's buying these trucks and they're getting bad rates on the financing and they have huge monthly payments, but they're barely paying the truck down. And then they drive the truck for 2 years. Truck has 200 plus thousand miles on it, and then they can't get out of that truck, because they owe too much money on it because they haven't been paying more than what their monthly payment is, or the minimum monthly payment. And then they're so flipped in their equipment um, they can't get out of it. Whew. Yeah, Mac Media, they're still in it. A couple guys still in it. I mean, like if you're operating your own equipment, you're the one driving it. Like you can make good money, like pay yourself as a driver. But it's just hard to replace hotshot equipment. It's hard to get more trucks, get another truck, right? You're definitely going to lose on your equipment because of how many miles. I mean, like think about it. You get a 5-year loan on a truck. That truck's only going to last you probably 2.5 hard years of running. So you better be overpaying on it. So it's like you get in these trucks, right? Guys will go and they'll get like, a 72-month loan at 8% interest rate. You're talking they want to have a low monthly payment. But I mean, you're not paying your truck down. So it's like you'll see a lot of people that have a good 2 years, they get to the point it's like, oh, I have to buy more equipment now. And they can't buy new equipment because they can't get out of the equipment they have. And so that's why I push semi trucks so much now because it's like if you're in a position where you want to be on the road, and you have the ability to buy a truck, it's like, especially in the market that we're in, if you can buy a semi truck and that semi truck's going to last you 5 years, say it has 350,000 miles on it, you might have 2 bad years out of that 5 years, but the other 3 years you can make it up and then be in a position to buy another semi truck. But yeah, so I do the consultations now, Kyle, and I had a guy, we talked for about 3 hours. He wanted to get into hot shot and this and that. And I just being straight up with him, and he's like, "Semi truck's probably the way to go." And I was like, "Yeah." He only here. He already wanted to go to get his CDL, and I'm like, "You're in a financial position where you can get good equipment." I was like, "You're gonna put all your money into this truck that's only gonna last you 2 years, and then you're not gonna be able to buy another truck, and your company's over, dead and gone, right then." It's like you're not gonna make enough profit doing hotshot trucking to overpay on your truck to pay it down quicker and not put yourself in, let's say, a financial bind or take money out of your pocket that maybe you probably don't have. And so, people people take these long loans out, high interest rates, and it's like you're dead. You're done in 2 years, man. You're done in 2 years. That's true. Plus all the perks of being in an actual semi. Yeah, and there's a lot of benefits to it. I think the biggest benefit is just the engine is made to haul, the transmission is made to haul. That truck is built to haul. Like when we when we go out and get F550s, yeah, they're diesel dualies and they're meant to hook a gooseneck trailer up to, but they're not meant to be in tow haul mode, 10,000 miles a month pulling at their capacity. Like you're putting a lot of stress on the truck. But these semi trucks, like they're built for that, right? And if you go buy a for 50 or 60 grand, get a semi truck that has 350,000 miles. Hopefully, you have about 500,000 miles on that truck where you're not having to do super huge repairs on it. I mean, obviously, you got to do maintenance and you got to repair some stuff. Stuff's going to break. But that 500,000 miles, if you're a new trucking company, like 200, you can afford 100,000 miles of those 500,000 miles not being the best, right? But it's like when you have a hotshot truck, every single mile matters. Same with semi, but every single mile really matters on hotshot because you only have about 200 or 250,000. And so that's, and with my model, right? My model of my company is we had our F-350. I ended up selling it when it had like 80,000 miles. And then we went straight lease-ons for 2.5 years, just leasing people on under authority. And then I went out and bought a semi truck. And I really wish I didn't never buy a semi truck. Then I bought another semi truck. I just wish that I would have kept the lease-ons going. But that's how my company was able to sustain itself. But if we would have went out and bought just two semi trucks, three or two hotshot trucks, three hotshot trucks instead of semi trucks, they'd have too many miles on them right now. We'd probably owe too much money on them. So it's a give and a take. It's definitely a give and a take. Oh. Oh. But there are lots of benefits. I mean, um, but there are benefits to doing hotshot too. I mean, just having F-350 or F-550 diesel dually that you can disconnect from the trailer and it's just a normal truck, and you can trade in that truck at any dealership. It's easier to sell a truck like that to farmers. But and you can get a trailer that's going to be lower to the ground than most step decks. You can haul taller freight. Obviously, it doesn't weigh as much, but taller freight. Uh, but I think just people go, they see a lower entry into trucking and they see a lower entry into trucking and they try to jump on it, not really understanding everything going into it. And they're not really ready to like open a trucking company and open a business in general and everything that entails, right? And so they go into it thinking, I'm just gonna do non-CDL hotshot, and just get on the road. And once I get on the road, I'll make money. But it's like there's so many aspects to just the business side of things to build a sustainable system, to build uh, a profiting, successful business, and successful basically just meaning sustainable, right? That's you're going to have small profits, and you're going to be able to go be here year in and year out. You're building a company that you can build to sell. Like people they don't know a lot of those side of things, right? And that's one of the reasons I wanted to do the consultations too. It's kind of like a lot of little things that little positions I've been put in that I never would have thought I'd be put in them before. But I've been through them. I've been through them, man. Definitely been through 'em. Oh no, Ben Hameen. No one's following me on Instagram. Make sure I got this put in here. What kind of truck is it? Yeah, I mean, and that's the thing with semi too. Like you can overhaul a motor and get a lot more miles out of it, and keep it running, right? And you can find semis that they're actually worth putting the money into. Like doing an F-550, rebuilding the motor's not really worth putting the money into unless you're in that position where you have to. Pin this right here. This is my new website here. Opened it up not too long ago. Drop top. Did a hot box. 90-10 split, dude. That's not bad at all. Are you doing your own dispatching for that rate? I mean, 90-10 is not bad at all. Especially if they're giving you good insurance rates and they're providing you dispatch at that rate, it'd probably definitely cost you more money to be on your own, I would say. they're covering factoring. If they're covering factoring and dispatch in that rate, you got a good deal. Oh, so you do your own loads. So yeah. So yeah, that's kind of like I charge the guy who's leased onto me. I charge him 14%, like 14. I think it's 14.2 because every time he gets a clean inspection, I take point 0.1 off, and he's got like 8 clean inspections over the last 3 years. So charge him 14%, but that's factoring. That's dispatch included, ELD costs included. Uh, he pays his own insurance. But yeah, well, they're only taking 10%, man. I mean, unless you're really wanting to build your own trucking empire and have your own company, like I mean, build your own company past that, 10% is not yeah, that's not bad at all, man. Especially with your and they're letting you book your own loads and stuff. That's not bad at all. Man, there's nothing better than a paid off truck that's reliable. Though I'll tell you that. I mean, you have low overhead. Do you own your trailer outright? I bet you do. I bet they're not too expensive. Where's my make sure my laptop just doesn't die on us. Yeah, 90 to 10 split is hard to find. I think if like if so when you're doing leasing on, right? I depends, right? So we're talking semi truck leasing, which you'll find lower percentages taken out because semi trucks gross more in general, right? But I would say 10% is pretty fair. Definitely fair if they're not if e- even though they're not offering dispatch. Obviously, if they offer dispatch, they got to pay a dispatcher, so that's why I charge about 14 or 15. But if it's a brand new guy that's leasing onto my company with like CDL Hotshot, I'd probably charge him about 17.5 or 18% starting out, and then after 6 months, drop it down to 15. But yeah, for semi truck, I see a lot of people in 12, 13, 14 range. Uh, but it depends on what's being covered, right? Um, 10% without dispatch. I mean, fair price, man. But 80/20, I think, is terrible for anybody unless insurance. Like, and then you could say, well, is insurance covered at 80/20? Which I think the least, the person leasing people on covering insurance in any capacity is a really dumb business model because what happens when that guy's truck breaks down or this, that, and the other? And he's like, well, you're covering my insurance regardless. Or when they don't run, like if I'm not controlling how much you run, I also don't want to control or be on the hook to pay a lot of your monthly recurring cost. And obviously insurance is going to be the biggest part of that. Yeah, that's good though. Sounds like you got a good setup. What rate do you get from going to Texas back to California? Oh yeah, I'm getting tired, boys. My laptop's got 9% left. Savage. Yeah, California compliance seems wild. Yeah, 60K. Yeah, that's the problem with the reefers. Just as they get older, less brokers will use you. But besides that, I mean, but I think for where you're at, hauling equipment for as long as you did and all that, and I think it's reefer is definitely a solid way to make money and not have to be so invasive with tarping and strapping and doing all that good stuff. But like we talked about, it definitely has its downsides. But if you're renting theirs, I mean, if they're paying insurance on it, or they're covering huge breakdowns or whatever the case may be, I mean, it might not be a bad deal. But obviously, not being the California compliant can limit loads that you'll get, but it doesn't seem like to be the end of the world. Welcome everybody to the live stream. I'm not going to pass out on air, I swear. Welcome. If you got any questions about Hotshot, about trucking in general, drop them down below. Love to talk about it. I'm gonna get off when my laptop dies, but we still got some time. Do, 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 do. Takes about the Cali is always rough. I got a $3 a mile before, but right now I'll probably grab a load to AZ for $1.80, then grab from AZ California 3. Yeah, I mean, you got to do what you got to do to get around, right? I mean, make it up, but I mean, getting to Arizona for cheap, and then as long as you make it up from Arizona to California, you'd be good. You'd be all good, brother. I mean, that's what people don't understand either. It's about the averages, right? What can I average out? Like I made a video, I think I posted today talking about how much money you can actually make in Hotshot, and I'm like listing these numbers. Then I'm like, you got to look at the averages, guys. Yeah, you're gonna have a good month. You're gonna have a good week. You're gonna have a bad month. You're gonna have bad weeks. What's your actual average over a specific amount of time? Then that's gonna tell you what your profits are gonna be over the long run. Can you get out of California pretty all right though to get to the Midwest? I feel like does California have a lot of freight that has to get to the Midwest? Oh heck yeah, dude. That's good, bro. I'd rock with their trailer as long as possible, especially if one is 60 grand. I mean, if it's not a big deal for you to not if it's not a big deal for you to with the California compliance, it's not really limiting you that much when it comes to loads, and they're giving you a good rate on the reefer. I'd stick with it, man. Because the biggest problem I've seen with reefers or dry vans is they lose their value so fast because of once they get to a point where brokers don't want to use them at all. But obviously, I think having a brand new, reefer unit and a brand new trailer is going to make your life easier too with getting loads and just keeping it clean and knowing that's going to work properly, hopefully. But yeah, it doesn't seem like it's a bad deal at all, man. Seems like you got her taken care of. Yeah, right now my semi truck blew its clutch back in January. I got it parked up in Cleveland right now, like a long term parking spot. But I'm renting out my trailer to a friend of mine. I got a 48-foot flatbed that it was pulling. I'm renting it to him for $750 a month. Sel said, "What setup are you recommending getting in this market?" Well, Sel, do you have a CDL? Are you looking at CDL Hotshot? Are you looking at a semi truck? What are you looking at, my friend? Welcome to the live stream. But just off the top of my head right now, I would say you have a CDL. You want to do Hotshot? I would say the biggest setup possible. Like I talked about before. Oh, let me answer Kyle real quick. I'll get into it. I try to say southeast, but I just came back from Florida. But I like doing California, Texas, and back. Man, you make some money quick. 2-day drive. But sell. So, especially in any market, good or bad, you want to have a setup that has the most capacity. You want to be able to haul any load that's on the load board, right? Or any load that any broker calls you with. You want to have the ability to do it. Now, if the price isn't right, the price isn't right. But you want to have the ability to do it, right? So, if you're doing CDL Hotshot and that's where you want to go, I would say best bet is to go F550 with a 40-foot gooseneck trailer with a ramp kit. Get air ride on it if you can. Make sure you have all the fixings for that. You'll be able to haul probably 20 up to 22,000 pounds with a load like that. But the problem with those trucks, and this is why I kind of steer people away from it, is that F550 is not built to do what you're going to do with it, right? Obviously, it has a tow haul mode. It's a diesel dually. It can definitely move loads around. Like it can do it, but it's not built to be 10,000 miles a month in tow haul mode at its max capacity, right? So you're putting a lot of strain on that truck and you're putting a lot of miles on that truck very quick. What I see happen all the time is people buy trucks, like 5 year, 6 year notes. But reality, if you're running that truck hard, like a normal year, you're going to put 100,000 miles on it. You have probably 2.5 years with that truck, right? That's probably the time you're going to have with that truck. So you need to be able to make enough money in 2.5 years, put enough money back to get out of that loan because you're going to be so flipped on that loan, plus be able to buy another truck. So I tell a lot of people to go even bigger than a F550. I would say look at a medium duty. If you don't want to go full size semi, look at a medium duty semi. A single axle semi that has a bigger motor in it, like a Cummins or a Detroit or PACCAR or whatever you find in there, has that bigger motor, it has a bigger transmission, and is actually built to haul stuff. Like that's what it's made for. You can find one of those, 250,000 miles. You could probably get another 500,000 miles out of one of those trucks, right? And then you can upgrade to a 53-foot step deck with ramp kit, and that's your single axle kind of setup. You'll be able to haul probably 35,000 pounds. But that engine that's in that truck, it's rated for a lot more than that. The transmission's rated for a lot more than that. So you're going to put less wear and tear on that truck. But I mean, even go full size semi, because think about it. If you're looking to start a brand new trucking company, with your equipment, you're going to be limited in brokers that are going to use you. You're going to be limited by a lot of different things. And so you want to have the biggest setup possible that can haul the biggest variety of loads because you are going to be limited. And so in the market right now, I don't really encourage many people to get into Hotshot just because I doubt their ability to make enough money to pay off their truck and buy another truck after the 2.5 years are over. Like an M2 Freightliner, yeah, like an M2 Freightliner would be like that medium duty semi. I don't think they're not bad trucks, but really what you're trying to get to is having that bigger engine that was built for hauling and having that bigger transmission that was built for hauling, right? And you can get a lot more miles. So like if you want the semi right, the semi route. So for example, let's do this example. You buy brand new F550, brand new gooseneck trailer. I'm gonna level with you. It's gonna be a lot easier to get a loan on an F550 than it is to get on a semi, just in general, right? So that's why a lot of people like to go Hotshot. It has a lower point of entry. But you go in, you pay 75 for the truck, you pay 30 for the trailer, you're in 105 grand. You do have a warranty on the truck, but we've seen a lot of issues with warranties where it takes so long for that warranty work to actually be done. We've had guys who've had their trucks break down. They've been off the road for 2 months waiting on this warranty. Yeah, at the end of it, they didn't pay anything out of pocket, but they've been off the road so long, right? So let's say you're 105 grand in um, on a good CDL hotshot setup. That setup's really only going to be good for about 2 to 2.5 years. Like I said, you're going to put probably 250,000 miles on that truck. And if you're doing OTR hotshot, that's only 2.5 years, man. Maybe less than that, right? And so that trailer still, you can sell the trailer, get some money back from that. But that truck, though, in 2.5 years, you probably still owe money on it. And now it's getting to a point where it's like this truck could blow up. Maybe you've got a transmission put in it under warranty, but you just owe too much money on it. Now you're in a difficult position to be able to go buy another truck, right? But let's stay in the same economic position we're in. Let's stay in the same market we're in. We go out and we buy a semi truck. We get ourselves a Kenworth T680 for 60 grand that has 380,000 miles on it. I think you can find those probably all day. You're going to probably get out of that truck for 60 grand. And then you get, a 53-foot step deck with ramp kit, probably going to cost you brand new 42,000. We'll say 35,000 used. So, I mean, you're in 60,000 plus 42,000. You're in that setup about the same you are for that diesel dually and for that trailer, the hotshot side of things. But that setup that I just talked about with the semi truck and trailer is going to last you about probably 400 or 500,000 miles, right? So even if your first 2 years are really hard, you're being limited amount of freight you can haul, this, that, and the other. You're still going to have another 3 years with that same setup, hopefully, before you have any major breakdowns. And I think that will definitely that's a better route to go, especially when you're in a market where brokers don't like using new authorities. You're in a market where like rates in general aren't the best. But what I'm saying here is you're also going to have a better time finding companies that are willing to lease you on if you go the semi route because they can charge you less because you're going to gross more for them, right? So there's a lot that goes into it. I think Hotshot has its benefits, but the biggest downturn for me is going to be the downside is that those trucks only last 2.5 years if you're really running them, and you're just going to be in a position where you can't buy another truck. I've seen it so many times, sell where guys go out and buy these trucks and then they're in business for 2 years doing okay, but they didn't pay enough down on the truck. They didn't put enough money back, and they're just in a position where they can't buy another truck. They just can't do it. Kyle says, "Does Enterprise still do those rentals? Granted, I know you're over 65 a lot, but people have gotten doing that way. I can only imagine their cost now. Yeah, but Kyle, the thing is, it's just super crazy, right? I think Toe Piglet was the first one to really make that kind of famous. Obviously, Enterprise they ran out of trucks with COVID for sure, but I mean, they just charge so much money. I don't see a world where you really make any money off of it. Yeah, is it cool that they give you another truck and that they cover all maintenance and this, that, and the other? But I think they kind of realized that it wasn't working out too well for them once everybody started using those trucks for Hotshot and putting so many miles on them, and they were having to deal with so much maintenance stuff. So I think it's pretty much dead in the water. I think it exists, but I think it's pretty much dead in the water. And then when Toe Piglet made it kind of famous, I think that lady just got blown up by so many people wanting trucks. It was pretty wild, I bet. Let's see I got 4% left, guys. So if I cut out randomly, it's because my laptop died. But hopefully, Sel, you can learn something from that, my friend. Yeah, that lady probably she got so many people calling. And that's what happens. Like, see people who throw up like their insurance agents. Like I threw up an old insurance agent of mine, and I was talking to my new insurance agent. I want to do a video with him kind of going over the truth behind trucking insurance. And he's like, well, I got to talk to my boss because there was one guy who did that with this guy who did box trucks on YouTube. And he just got blown up by all these bad customers who are trying to get into trucking and doing box trucks. They weren't ready to actually have insurance and they're just wasting their time. So that's what happens, man. I mean, there's a lot of people who like to peddle the game, like to peddle trucking, and they're not ready and they don't really like that, don't know what they're doing, and like they're just not prepared to do what they think they are. And it's like I started trucking not knowing anything, and we got it done. There's a lot of people that are gonna be able to do that, but you're building a business. Like you have to understand, you are building a business, So you have to do everything that a business owner does. You might drive your own truck, but you're still a business owner. There's still a lot more that goes into it. People just aren't ready for that. And I think Hotshot just gets so glorified on the internet. Not really anymore, right? You know why not anymore? Because those companies didn't stick around. They didn't like it. They got out of it. Their trucks broke down. They couldn't afford to buy other trucks, and it just didn't work out. You got to do one with the broker on the truth about those rates and how they post loads for more than 50. Yeah. I was just skeptical about the semi when my uncle's turbo went out with 3 months of getting it, 20K bill. So I just used my truck I already had, which is a 350 SRW, but want to upgrade. Yeah, man. I mean, I would honestly, anything can happen in semi, anything can happen in Hotshot, right? So like your uncle, his turbo went out. Like you're going to have bigger, like when you have repair bills with semi, they're going to be bigger, right? But think about this, Sal. Let's say, for example, you buy an F550, you go bigger. Obviously, I would not invite you to do Hotshot with a SRW 350. Like you're just not going to have enough weight that you're able to haul to make good money. Let's say you go F550 and it has a warranty on it, right? This is what's going to happen. The only people that are going to work on that truck or can work on that truck sale is going to be the dealership, right? Because you do your warranty work there. You want to keep all of your oil changes there at the dealership. Now, when you have a big breakdown and you take that truck to the dealership, it's going to take them time to even be able to look at it. Then they're going to have to, figure out what's wrong with it. They're going to send that off to the warranty. The warranty is going to approve it, and then they're going to fix it, right? No matter what that is, usually it's going to take at least a month for all of that to happen. Maybe 2 months, maybe 3 months for stuff that gets fixed. Now, on the semi side of things, you might buy a semi truck that you don't have a warranty on, or you might be able to get a semi truck that still has about 100,000 miles left in its warranty for that $60,000 range, $70,000 range. So, for example, here you buy that semi, you have a breakdown occur. It's going to cost you more money, but you have so many more mechanics that are willing to work on that semi, right? You don't have to take it to the dealership. You don't have to wait on another dealership to like try to pay out on your warranty or get the warranty work done. You can take it to so many other mechanics, and you as a business owner needs to figure out, local mechanics that are good, honest guys, and build relationships with them, and find people that are going to be working on your semi. So for me right now, like when my semi breaks down, my semi breaks down, what I do is I order the parts myself. I have my mechanic look at it, tells me what I need. I order the parts myself, either through, I got a Peterbilt close by, or I order them online, whatever the case may be. And then I take him the parts, he fixes it, and then he invoices me and he gives me 30-day pay terms. And usually, whatever's wrong with my semi, depending on how long it takes the parts, I can be back on the road within a week or 2 weeks. And then I still have, um, 15 or 20 days to pay that invoice, right? To pay that invoice. I'm going to make that money on the road. And so, yes, you have the warranty work done. The warranty work's going to occur, right? And it's not going to cost you as much out of pocket, but the time off the road is going to be killer, right? You can afford the semi work to get done if you can get back on the road, right? But you have to build your maintenance plan. You have to find good people around you, and you have to build that system for you and your company. But I mean, you have to find a good truck to begin with too, right? Like when you go and you buy your truck, you take a mechanic with you. You have your mechanic look it over. Luis says, "I lost my company after 8 months non CDL. I was devastated. I want to get back in it. Any advice?" Luis, this is my advice: go to CDL school if you can afford it. Pay for it yourself. If you can't afford it, if you can't afford CDL school, then go sign up for a mega carrier that'll pay for your CDL. Work for them for a year, get the experience behind you. Now you have a CDL, and then focus on getting back into trucking on your own company. So I mean, you're gonna have breakdowns, man. That's part of the game. So like, I had literally had my clutch go out of my truck uh 2 months ago, right? Like that happens, right? But you have to make educated decisions and just try to make the best educated decision. I will tell you that yes, you have to make an educated decision on the semi truck you're gonna buy. Have a mechanic look it over. Big breakdowns can occur. Big breakdowns can occur with your Hotshot. I have a guy who had an F550. It's had 2 new transmissions put into it in 125,000 miles. It literally, I think now has 140,000 miles on it, and it's had 2 new transmissions put in it. Yes, both of those were under warranty, but it took 3 months for each of those to get fixed. 3 months if you don't have money in the bank, 3 months will kill you, whether you're paying for those repairs or not. And so I've seen a big benefit from going the semi route. Luis says, "Thanks, been watching since you had your hot shots first." Thank you, Luis, for being with us and been watching for that long, man. Very grateful for you. My laptop is going to die any second, my friends. Sel says, "You have a better understand." You're all good, Sel. I was just kind of going over my thoughts in my head. The downtime will kill you. That's going to be your biggest problem, is being off the road. But Luis, I would definitely invite you, brother. Go get your CDL, man. Like if you want to do trucking and you want to have a sustainable trucking company over the course of however long, it's going to be by getting your CDL first, for sure. That's going to be step one, man. You don't have to have your company tomorrow, man. No, there's no rush on that. There's a rush. Like building a sustainable trucking company takes time, and it takes you first having experience, you first having your CDL, you first doing that. Like I learned everything off YouTube 5 years ago, and we've made it through, man. But I'm telling you, like you can build a good sustainable company, but just take your time, gain your experience, man. Go get your CDL. You'll be fine, bro. You'll be good. But Sel, I'll invite you to everyone who's in here. My laptop's gonna die. I'm gonna cut out any second here. But go to howtohotshot.com. It's my YouTube channel. If you guys want to do some one-on-one consultations and go deeper into it, I'll sit down with you. We can just go one-on-one on a Zoom and go over a plan of attack, and we can just touch on everything. Yeah, Luis. And if you can't afford it out of your own pocket, man, there's no problem signing up with one of these mega carriers. I mean, you're not going to get paid much, but you're going to get a year of experience in a truck. You're going to see if you even really like, trucking, and you're going to gain that experience. You're gonna have a job. If the truck breaks down, it's no flack on you. They'll probably put you in another truck, and you don't got to worry about coming up with 5 grand out of your pocket to fix it. So there are blessings there. But yeah, check out the page, guys. If you want to do, I had a 2.5 hour consultation call yesterday, and we went over like literally everything. Create a plan of attack for a friend that was ready to get after it, but he just wanted to know probably what was the best route to do it. And I just gave him what my thoughts were. We looked at trucks, we looked at trailers, we looked at the load boards, we did it all. Yeah, my laptop is going to go poo poo for Cocoa Puffs here in a second. Yeah, my biggest problem with Hotshot, guys, is I just don't think these trucks, like, especially with how interest rates are. If you're doing $70,000